Looks like there may be some conversations going on about a possible trade between the Red Sox and the Padres. The question here is why? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and just a couple of days after we talked about the possibility of the Red Sox at least fielding interest in their outfielder Jarren Duran, we have a little bit of smoke going on. Yesterday, it was reported at the bare minimum, the Padres have started a conversation about a trade with the Red Sox for Jarren Duran, but what do the Padres have that would entice the Red Sox? Today, we're going to take a look at 3 different trade possibilities that make sense from a Red Sox perspective. We're also going to take a look at what these trade possibilities would look like from a Padres perspective to ultimately try and figure out whether or not there's actually anything here, what the likelihood of a Red Sox-Padres trade actually is. But before we get into that, we are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. We are just under 900 subscribers away from that goal. So if you're new here, do us a favor, help us get there by hitting that subscribe button. We talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. So like we talked about when we first started talking about the rumors popping up about Red Sox fielding offers on Jarren Duran, it's going to take a really specific scenario. Jarren Duran was your 3rd best player essentially in the 2023 season. Statistically, despite having played 40 less games than most people on the roster, he was still one of your best offensive weapons. He's also one of the fastest players in the game and getting better defensively. Jarren Duran going into 2024 is one of the pillars of the Boston Red Sox. If you are going to trade for him, it's going to have to be a very specific scenario. And in my opinion, if the Red Sox are going to trade him, it's going to be for nothing else but a controllable starting pitcher, someone who would completely transform this Red Sox rotation. Now, the question is, do the Padres have anything like that to offer? Well, that answer is really tricky because the Padres right now don't have a ton of rotational depth either. In fact, they traded their generational hitting talent for more starting pitching depth. Would they be willing to give any of that up to receive Jarren Duran? That's the big question we're looking at in today's video. But from a Red Sox perspective, there are a couple of trades that I think would at least interest them. The first one, in my opinion, would make the most sense for the Red Sox, and that would be Jarren Duran for Joe Musgrove and cash, specifically $40 million. Now, Joe Musgrove on his own is an absolutely fantastic pitcher. Since getting to the San Diego Padres, he's been essentially a bona fide ace. In that 3-season span, Joe Musgrove had a 3.05 ERA, a bit higher but still really solid 3.62 FIP, a really good 1.094 WHIP, and a 127 ERA plus, about 27% above league average production. But there is some risk involved here. Last season, Joe Musgrove dealt with a multitude of injuries that kept him off the field for a majority of the season. He only made 17 starts last year. A lot of these injuries had to do with his foot, whether it be walking on hot turf during his game in Mexico or dropping a kettlebell on it, but there were also some shoulder and elbow injuries in there as well. This could be a bit of a risk for the Boston Red Sox, but it becomes a lot less of a risk when you're looking at adding in $40 million, which would be about half of the salary worth left on his contract. Joe Musgrove is scheduled to make $20 million each year for the next 4 years. If the Padres were willing to eat half of that and the Red Sox only had to pay $10 million for the next 4 years, this could be a bit of an interesting offer for the Red Sox, because what this would give you is a frontline starting pitcher, a guy who has been there, done that before, who's been successful at the major league level as an ace. This would be a veteran arm who would completely transform this rotation, not only now, but also once you get to your window of competition in 2026, where you still have him under control for 2 more seasons. To me, from a Red Sox perspective, if the Padres were willing to do this, it would make a lot of sense. However, are the Padres actually willing to do that? And I think it's unequivocally no. The Padres, like I just said, don't have a ton of pitching depth either, and to give away your ace starting pitcher and then also help pay for that ace starting pitcher just for Jarren Duran, to me, doesn't make a ton of sense from a Padres perspective, and most likely isn't going to happen. But this, in my opinion, would be best case scenario for the Red Sox. This is someone who not only affects your team now, but affects your team in the future. The second option on the table here, in my opinion, is Jarren Duran ran 1-for-1 for Michael King. Michael King was brought over and really was the main piece of the Juan Soto trade because last year King got his first taste of starting pitching. He had mostly been a reliever for the Yankees, but as a starter last year, he really started to shine. In just 9 games, so a bit of a small sample size there, he had a really impressive 2.23 ERA as a starter, 1.14 whip, and an 11.4 K per 9, which held opponents to just a 72 OPS plus, or about 28% below league average production. King is a super intriguing arm that is under control for 2 more seasons. This one makes a bit less sense for the Red Sox, as again, I think they're looking for longer term solutions to their starting rotation problem, and King would only be with the Red Sox for 2 seasons unless you were able to extend him, but King has a ton of potential and would immediately supplement this rotation. King also, just sort of a side note, not really going to sway the Red Sox one way or the other, but he is a local kid. He grew up in Warwick, Rhode Island. He went to school at Boston College. This would be a really cool moment for King to be traded to his hometown team, which I think would be awesome, but really doesn't have anything to do with the trade. If you're looking at why the Red Sox would trade Jarren Duran for a starting pitcher that has this potential, what he was able to show last year makes a lot of sense. But again, if you're taking a look at this from a San Diego Padres perspective, there's really not a lot of sense here. The Padres just traded him for Juan Soto. That's Juan Soto, right? A top 5 player in Major League Baseball. To go and then flip Michael King, who was the main piece of this, for Jarren Duran would leave them with Juan Soto for Duran, a catcher, and a relief pitcher. To me, from a PR perspective, it doesn't make sense. From an actual team perspective, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Looking at this from a Padres eye, this trade doesn't make sense at all either. But again, we're looking at why the Red Sox would maybe want to trade Duran, and putting Michael King on the table might be a reason for that. The final trade on this list that I think the Red Sox could be interested in would be Jarren Duran for one of 2 pitchers, Robbie Snelling or Dylan Lesko. Both of these guys are the top 2 pitchers in the Padres farm system. Both of these guys are top 100 prospects in Major League Baseball. Now, this might not make sense for the Red Sox immediately, but if they really are trying to fully revamp their pitching pipeline, it makes sense to bring someone in who's already at the point of a potential impact starter. Personally, I think between the 2, Robbie Snelling is a better fit. He's a left-handed starting pitcher who ranks 36 in all of Major League Baseball in terms of MLB pipeline's top 100 prospects, and absolutely dominated last year between 3 separate levels: low A, high A, and double A, which led to a combined just 182 ERA, a 1.119 whip, a 10.2 K per 9, and a 3 even walks per 9 in his 2023 season. He was absolutely dominant last year. This not only totally revamps the Red Sox pitching pipeline, but it also matches up pretty well with where the Red Sox are looking to be in 2026, as Robbie Snelling is projected to make his Major League debut sometime in 2025. It lines up perfectly with where the Red Sox are looking to truly compete. Now, if we're looking at this from a Padres point of view, of the 3 trades proposed in this video, I think this one would be the one they'd be most interested in. The reason for this is because the Padres actually have 3 starting pitchers in the MLB's top 100 pitching pipeline. 3 of their top 5 prospects are starting pitchers. This is a bit of an area of depth for them. Is this a steep price to pay for Jarren Duran? Yeah, a little bit, right? But at the same time, too, you could trade one of these guys away and still have 2 pitchers in your top 100 and 2 pitchers coming up who could be impact starters to help with your pitching problem over the next couple of years. For the Padres, this could make some sense. Now, again, if we're looking at it from a Red Sox perspective, it does match up with their timeline, but it also makes the 2024 team significantly worse. Losing Jarren Duran and getting nothing of immediate impact back in return is going to put the 2024 Red Sox in a bit of a worse spot. Is it possible to make up for Jarren Duran's production between Tyler O'Neill and, say, Don Rafaela? It is, but you're going to be asking a lot out of someone who's coming back from injury and someone who has very minimal big league experience that was somewhat successful but not fully successful, to the point where the Red Sox probably aren't even putting him on the Major League roster to start the year as of right now. That's a lot of pressure to put on these guys to make up for the Jarren Duran Duran production. In my opinion, if you were to make this trade from a Red Sox point of view, you're going to have to get someone else, whether that's another right-handed bat in a Tommy Pham and Adam Duvall, or if that's a bigger impact player like a Jordan Montgomery who can come in and supplement the loss war-wise of Jarren Duran from the mound. That would also work as well, and I think that's really the only way you can make this work, especially after the PR you've had this offseason. Imagine you end your offseason by making the team significantly worse right away in 2024 to hopefully be better in 2026. Probably wouldn't go over very well with fans, but I think overall when you're looking at these three trades, this one makes the most sense to me from both a Red Sox and from a Padres perspective, and it's something I think the Red Sox would be willing to deal with. So with all the rumors going around right now between the Red Sox and the Padres, these were the three trades I was able to come up with that would make sense for the Red Sox, because again, you shouldn't feel like you have to trade Jarren Duran. Last year, he was one of your best players. Going into this season, he is now fully healthy. He dyed his hair blonde. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but it looks really good, so it might mean something. I don't know. And he looks a lot bigger than he did going into 2023. He could have a monster season for you and be one of the pillars of the 2024 Sox, as well as one of the pillars for the Red Sox going forward, right? You shouldn't feel like you have to trade him. So in my opinion, it's going to take a very specific scenario. Of these three trades, again, the last one to me feels like the most realistic, but I also still don't think it's all that realistic. I think when you're looking at it from a Padres point of view, I would be shocked if they were willing to put one of their legitimate major league starting pitchers on the table. And honestly, I'd be pretty surprised if they were willing to put a top 50 pitching prospect on the table for Duran either. Would the Red Sox be willing to eat 2 more years of non-pitching production in order to get a Lesko or a Snelling? I'm not entirely sure. And I think realistically, looking at the fit overall with the Red Sox and the Padres, to me, it just doesn't make a ton of sense. I don't think the Padres are in a position to give the Red Sox what they want. And I don't think the Red Sox are in a position where they're desperate enough to trade Jarren Duran away for something like one of these three opportunities. So in my opinion, I don't see a trade between the two happening, but I've been wrong plenty of times before, so let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think? Do you think there's a possibility of the Padres convincing the Red Sox to give up Jarren Duran, and what do you think it would take to get him here? Would it be one of these three options? Is there something else within the Padres organization that you'd be interested in to trade Jarren Duran away? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest rumors between the Padres and the Red Sox in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, we are less than 900 subscribers away from 10,000. So do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button. We talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.